For those who may be new to my channel, I became a father in 2020 to a beautiful little girl. And a lot of you mentioned in the last video I posted that you were interested in hearing about fatherhood and or parenting tips. Now I'm used to making more scientific videos where I give a tip and I back it up with a relevant study or something like that. So when it comes to these more subjective topics like parenting, giving my opinion on things, I don't claim to be an expert. My goal is not to be preachy and tell you how you should or shouldn't behave. It's really just to share my experience and what has worked and what hasn't worked for me in my relationship with my child and my wife, in hopes that you might find some nuggets to take with you. Also knowing that every child and every relationship is completely different. So having said all of that, here's 5 tips that fatherhood has taught me so far in the last 3 years on just becoming a better person, and how it can also be applicable to every single relationship in your life. Tip number 1 is to take nothing personally. You're a new dad, your wife is a new mother, she may be experiencing a lot of postpartum hormones, or your partner is also a new parent, your child is new to life, everything's new. You're stepping into this unknown together, and stress is high, fuses are short, it's really easy to get mad, especially you're also sleep deprived, and it can just be so easy to explode on each other. And it's in these moments that the perspective that I found most helpful is don't take anything personally. No one is intentionally trying to anger you, annoy you, hurt your feelings, anything like that. This is a transitional period for everybody, and it's going to take time to adjust. It's going to take time to learn how to maneuver through this new life as parents. And some tips I have are really to be intentional about finding time to smile and laugh. You have to make it a point to acknowledge every single little win, because they're actually really big wins. Your baby's first smile, the first successful feeding that you have. Bask in those moments when you can take a hot shower for the first time in maybe months, or actually eat a hot meal. Get creative with dates with your partner. Maybe you have a charcuterie and wine date at home while the baby naps. Do what you can to really keep that spark alive, because you really need each other in the beginning and throughout this entire journey. The first several months will be much more manageable if you work together as a team rather than constantly explode on each other as opponents. And this tip can also be translated to every single relationship you have. Try not to take anything personally. The second tip that I have is that every relationship you have, but especially in parenting, it is an energy exchange. The first thing I had to understand about kids, which by the way was nothing when I first had one, is that from around ages 0 to 3, they're in the absorbent stage of learning. This means that they learn differently than you or I might learn now. They're just absorbing every single thing in their environment. As adults, we're no longer absorbing. We learn through retention. We read something, we memorize it, we retain it. So an example of this might be if you speak multiple languages that you learned from a kid, you might not remember learning how to speak English or Spanish, you just absorbed it. And by the time you're making memories, you were bilingual. You don't remember learning how to walk, you just did one day. And so they're just constantly absorbing things. They're absorbing movement, they're absorbing energy, they're absorbing how you communicate with each other, how you treat your partner. They literally see and hear everything. Even if they can't synthesize it yet or quite understand what these energy exchanges mean, it's still imprinting on them.
You imprinted on my daughter?
It wasn't my choice.
She's a baby!
And it's going to shape how they view their little world. And that sets the foundation for love, trust, and respect. For example, if you yell at your child because they're throwing a temper tantrum, all they're going to hear is noise. They're not going to hear your message, what you're trying to say. They'll just go above you and try to out noise you. But if you lower your voice, now you're modeling emotional regulation for them. They may not come down from this tantrum immediately, but with repetition, they will learn by example how to regulate their emotions. This can be applied to every relationship in your life. It's how you treat people. And I found that the times that I was soft in my reaction to someone else's hostility, it's really disarming. And it's helped eliminate any power struggle, any fuses. It's really hard to argue with someone when only one person is arguing, right? So takeaway, loud is noise, soft is loud. The third tip I have for you is, if you have aspirations to be a dad one day, is to start preparing to be the protector now. If you view your role as a father to be the protector of your family, then start now. I wish I had started doing this earlier in life. In my 20s, I was not thinking about protecting my future family. I never thought about what would happen if danger would show up. But once you have a family, literally it's all you think about. Like, I wish I started becoming a, quote unquote warrior earlier in life. What I mean by that is, I wish I started learning a martial art in my 20s rather than struggling to learn one now. I wish I learned how to handle self-defense, home defense weapons safely, 5-10 years ago. Obviously now is better than never, and I'm glad I'm becoming competent and being prepared for every situation to protect my family. But I do wish I started learning this stuff much earlier, so that once my family was here, I was already an expert. Now, I'm sure many of you are familiar with the famous quote, "It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war." And every family is different, but I definitely felt that burden of becoming the protector who's ready for any situation once I had my daughter. The only regret I have is, I wish I started earlier. I wish I would have had the foresight when I was younger to start learning those skills, so I would be more confident now than trying to play catch up and learning those skills now. The next tip I have for you is, every time your kid asks you to pick them up, pick them up. The window of hold me, it only lasts for about, 5 to 6 years. And one day they're going to ask you to pick them up for the very last time. And you're gonna be heartbroken that they don't want you to pick them up anymore when that day comes. So be sure to cherish every opportunity you have now. It also sets up a foundation of safety and trust in your child for your future relationship with them. And it just reminds them, like, I'm here, you're safe, I'm always here to protect you. And sometimes just picking them up and holding them without saying anything says so much. That closeness you feel with your child is a direct energy exchange, and it's just telling you, I love you, I will always protect you, you're safe, all in one single action. Pick up your child as long as you can. I've learned not to take that for granted. And then the last thing I want to share is, I've encountered mainly two ways that you can view parenthood. The first way is the I can't perspective. These are some phrases you might hear people with this perspective say, and it's, now that I have kids, I can't do anything for myself. I can't start that business. I can't get in shape. I've embraced my dad bod. I can't learn this new skill. This child is an anchor, and I've sacrificed every part of my life to take care of this kid. And it's so easy to blame them for why you can't do something. This mindset can lead you to resentment. It can lead you to resent having kids. It can lead you to resent your partner. It can leave you questioning every single day if it was even worth having kids. If only you could have your old life back. And my advice would be to adopt this next perspective. And this is something that I've had to work on, but as I've come to adopt this perspective, everything in my life has changed. And that is the because perspective. I must accomplish my goals because of my kids. I must get healthy because I want to set an example for my kids of that health is a priority for our life. I must improve myself because my kid is always watching. My life doesn't stop because I have kids. My life is starting because I have kids. I still have personal goals. I still have things I want to accomplish. I still have big hopes and futures for this channel and for business. In fact, with this perspective, they become your catalyst for improvement rather than your excuse for why you're unable to do something. Just give you some quick examples for me is like, I'm physically stronger than I've ever been in my life because I want my daughter to see her dad as like a badass and somebody who isn't to be messed with. And I'm bringing in more financially than I have because of my daughter. I want to be able to provide and give her an amazing life. And I try to show up as a better husband and father every day because I want my daughter to see what a good partner should be. You just go to another level mentally that I haven't been to. It's like having discipline before was cool, but now it's like discipline on steroids. So with this mindset, you improve because of your kids and you love them for it. And this doesn't mean parenting is easy by any means. It doesn't mean you're gonna have all the time in the world to do all the things you wanna do, but you try to make time to do it. If any of you watching this has kids, kids, then you know that this is a really tough role to fill, and it's a privilege to be able to step into this role. And it's a role we don't get to quit, and it challenges you to look at your life like you've never viewed it before. But if you can rise to that challenge, then the reward is like no other. There's nothing better than looking at this little version of yourself and being proud of how you're raising them. It's the most rewarding feeling that I've probably ever felt in my life. The last, I guess, bonus tip is it does take a village. So please lean on the people in your life. You can't do this parenting thing alone. You know, I hope this video has resonated with parents that are watching, aspiring parents, parents to be. And if you don't ever want to have kids, why are you even this far in the video?
She doesn't even go here.
Anyways, drop a comment below. If you enjoy this type of content, let me know. If you don't, then let me know too. I'll see you guys in the next one.